The Kelabit are among many of the unique indigenous tribes of Malaysia. Idris Jala and his son Leon share with FMT Lifestyle what defines their Kelabit tribe and how these values are being kept alive in their family. Idris grew up in Barrio Sarawak. Despite having very few material possessions or modern comforts, he recalls always feeling content because of the strong sense of community he experienced there.
So long house means you share everything together. In the olden days, there is no word for thank you. It's a very strange thing. In my whole trial, I ask myself a question, how come a simple word like a thank you doesn't exist in the Kelabit dictionary? It doesn't exist in the vocabulary. It's simply this. Everything you're sharing anyway. You're supposed to give it to somebody, and it was a duty to give it.
Although his father Idris has long left Barrio and carved a name for himself in the corporate and political sectors, even becoming the first Orang Ulu to be made a federal minister, Leon shares that his large extended family remains close-knit.
Something that my wife has observed and has pointed out, and it's the word warmth. Warmth. Yeah. So I think for her, observing from the outside, she says it's very interesting that your family is so. First of all, it's so large because we recognize even people who are six, 7 times removed. We treat each other like first cousins as well. We're very, very tight knit, even at such a large scale. And I think for her, she says, well, there's a massive degree of warmth within the family unit, but she said the amazing thing is that extends even outside. So she said for her, the first time meeting the family, she said she felt very, actually quite intimidated going to a gathering with so many of us, feeling will I feel a bit left out? But she was just so taken aback by everyone's hospitality and warmth.
In the early 1970s, a spiritual revival swept through Barrio, and Idris recalls trekking for 4 days to preach in another village. Today, Leon is carrying on his father's tradition by preaching in his church, where he also oversees the creative department.
I think the faith, really. I would say even in this generation, it's something that we can all, many of us, we try to maybe run away from. Myself included, but you start to see it pop up among people in my generation, where a lot of us are starting to rediscover our faith. And so I think for us, because it's taught, we talk so much about it. We hear our grandparents, our aunties and uncles talk so much about it. There's this idea that no matter how much you try to reject it, at some point, it will come alive because the seeds have been planted.
The Kelabit people also have a unique culture of storytelling.
My dad, for example, he could recite a story with all the rhyme and rhythm. Every line is like a poetry. It's a story, and he would tell almost for 3 hours telling the story like Shakespeare. And that's an oral tradition. And that art really is quite incredible. So I grew up not watching Netflix movies, but basically I had movies because they were told through stories of epic poetry.
Today, the father and son keep this storytelling culture alive, albeit with a modern twist. They host a weekly podcast together called The Game of Impossible that aims to inspire listeners to discover their own abilities and transform. Leon believes that the culture for storytelling among the Kelabit is born out of an appreciation for creativity.
So I think as Kelabit kids, there's almost this joke that you don't really have a choice. It's almost expected of you to learn how to play some instrument or to at least be in music to a degree.
In addition to painting and singing, Leon plays the guitar, which he learned from his father. Fun fact, in his younger days, Idris was in a band that played rock and blues. He even wore his hair long. Today, Idris owns 50 guitars and even learned how to make the instrument during the pandemic. Leon has begun exposing his own children to their Kelabit heritage by reading them books in the language and giving them Kelabit names.
But maybe I can speak more into maybe Kelabits like me who have maybe not really grown up in barrio, who are maybe of kind of a mixed parentage as well. I think my hopes for this kind of next generation of Kelabits is that that we would really start to walk and live out those values.
Theevya, Ragu and Sheela, Vijayan, FMT Lifestyle.